Hello. So, if you are in or around the LGBT community, you will either hear, "When did you know you were gay?" or "When did you know you were trans?" depending on which one you are. And the answer to that is simple yet complicated for each person, because everyone always comes back with, "Well, how did you know you were straight?" or "How did you know you were cis?" But it's not always that black and white. It is, but I don't think it's more of a "when did you know" as much as a "when did you come to terms with that?" or "when did you realize?" sort of thing. And every person's story is going to be different. So on my end, when I was a kid, I would always go towards, the boy section or the boy things, but I never wanted to make my mom feel like I didn't like what she liked. So we'd go to the store and I would get school clothes. And I remember being young enough to sit in the little seating thing in the shopping cart that you put your legs through, and she would pick something up and it'd be aggressively pink, and she'd ask me, "Oh, do you like this? Do you think this is cute?" And I would always just kind of shrug my shoulders, because I didn't know that I didn't like it, because those are my only options at the time, is what my mom had given me at 5-6 years old, But as I got older, 7, 8, I have a brother that's 3 years older than me, but we were around the same size. He was a little bigger than me because he was 3 years old, but he grew slower than I did. I grew kind of progressively, and he shoot all at once when he was 17. So we were around the same size when we were kids. And I would always kind of take his hand-me-downs. And I remember my favorite clothes that he had given me were these pair of cargo shorts, camo cargo shorts, standard dad outfit cargo shorts. And it would go all the way to where I would loved these pair of Spider-Man underwear that he gave me. I don't think that's really a good idea to pass out underwear to younger kids, but it's what happened. And I think my parents were kind of really okay with that, because they didn't have to spend as much money on clothes, but also really wanted me to continue to be feminine, because I was their little girl. And as I got older, once I got up to being 11, 12, 13, when I was 11 years old, we moved from Arizona to Pennsylvania. So that was really harsh on me, because I had just finished 5th grade. I was just going into a new school, and I left all of my friends that I had grown up with. And meeting all these new people at a new school, at a new part of the country, in a new state, I wanted to fit in. I wanted to make an impression. So I kind of ditched my standard 3 outfits that I had, and kind of said, "Okay, fuck it, let's wear some pink." And my friends that I had seen at school came up to me, and I was wearing this jacket that had a little strip of pink on the corner of it, and these girls came up to me that I had known, and they're like, "Oh my god, I'm so proud of you, you're actually wearing pink, you're actually looking like a girl." And it was more of the acceptance that I liked, because I had never gotten that, because I was always kind of an outcast in elementary school. Obviously, I was dressing like a boy. And when I was in, I want to say 1st grade, I think, I wore this, it was just a yellow sweatshirt, and it had a scorpion on the front that my brother had given me. And I got made fun of for it in 1st grade. These kids were making fun of me. They're like, "Oh, you're dressing like a boy." And I went home and I told my mom, and she was like, "Oh, you can wear whatever you want, it's fine." But obviously I didn't want to anymore. So I kind of did what I did. And then once I got to middle school, I started wearing more feminine clothes. And boy, oh boy, I've never had so many clothes in my life. Because my mom had finally been able to buy me the clothes that she wanted to, and I would wear them. But the thing I would never wear was skirts or dresses. And to this day, I have never willingly put on a dress since I was 4 years old. And I remember what dress it is too. It had like ladybugs on it or whatnot. So once, after my 6th grade year in Pennsylvania, we moved to Oregon, which again wasn't fun because I had to uproot everything I knew that I had just built and move across country one more time. And about halfway through my 7th grade year, which is the first year I was in Oregon, I realized that these clothes weren't fitting, like they weren't what I wanted. I didn't feel comfortable in them, so I kind of unknowingly started to only wear the like unisex clothes that I had, the unisex shirts, so just wear a pair of jeans and like a black t-shirt to school. So I ended up having only a couple outfits to wear to school in 7th and 8th grade, and which transferred over into 9th grade. And at this point, I had no idea what was going on. I just knew that I had more fun, hanging out with boys. Like, I had my best friend was a guy, and I didn't want to do anything that was traditionally female. I wanted to play sports. I wanted to hang out with my dad more. Like, I wanted to go hunting with him when he went hunting. I don't go hunting anymore. But I liked going fishing. I liked doing all these, like, stereotypical boy things that, most trans boys will do. And when I was reaching towards the end of my 8th grade year, I asked my mom if I could cut my hair off. But I was so afraid of telling her I wanted to look like a boy, so I showed her my brother's friend, who was a girl, and she had a pretty short haircut. It's longer than what I have now, but it's kind of, it was short, but it was longer. And I asked her, I'm like, hey, can I get my hair cut like her? Kind of proving, like, I still want to be feminine, I just don't want to deal with the hair kind of thing. And it was awful. It was like a bob, but it was like a layered bob, and I had the lady cut it like 4 times to make it shorter. It was just, did not fit my face. So she let me get my hair cut, but I didn't tell any of my friends. So I showed up to school the next day, and my hair was just gone. It was absolutely, like, wrecked. And the day after that, I showed up with a straight mohawk, and everyone started freaking out. They're like, what the fuck are you doing? But it was fantastic, because I finally was happy doing my hair like that. And then come 9th grade, my brother had told me about this guy that he knew from his theater class, and his name was Matt. And Matt was transgender. And I didn't know what that meant at the time. So once I heard that, I recognized what the word meant, but it's kind of one of those things where you don't know what it really means. Like, you don't know if it's really true until you meet someone in real life, kind of thing. And as soon as I heard that my brother knew a trans guy, I spent countless amounts of nights after that looking up what it meant, going on YouTube. At that point, I'm pretty convinced I had watched every trans documentary on YouTube in 2013. In 2013. And I just kept rewatching the same ones because I didn't know what it meant, but for some reason it just made sense to me. But once I realized that this was making sense to me in the way that it was, I was terrified. Because my brother's gay, and he came out a couple years before that, and my dad didn't talk to him for like a month. He didn't kick him out, he didn't beat him, he just kind of ignored him because he didn't understand what was going on, and he didn't want to. So I didn't want that to happen to me, so I kept it to myself for quite a long time, longer than necessary. And came up with a few like escape plans to where if I told my family, at this point my parents were divorced, so I was just living with my mom, so I guess it didn't really matter what my dad felt like, but still. And I just had come up with all these escape plans, like, okay, if things go wrong, I can walk to this friend's house, I can walk to this friend's house, my family doesn't know where this friend lives, so I can go over there without actually asking the friends about if I could come over at any necessary point, because I didn't want to tell anybody what was going on. That was just kind of my last resort. I was that scared of how my family would react to me that I kept everything hidden for months, which months doesn't seem like a really long time right now, but when you're 14 and you don't have any friends and it's just eating you alive, when you just have this realization that everything in your life makes sense now, it's kind of eats away at you every day. So I ended up telling my best friend, and he was really nice about it, he was really cool about it. He asked me if I wanted to change anything, and I was like, no, it's just kind of something I'm considering right now, but I don't know if it's true or not. Which a lot of people feel like. And eventually, it got to the point where during my freshman year of high school, I was going around just kind of joking with people, asking like, hey, if my name were a boy name, what do you think it would be? So for about a week and a half, I walked around school going by kind of like a different name, just like, what about Billy today, you know? And it was really fun, because everyone I went to school with was going for it. They were like laughing about it. They're like, this is okay. And at one point we had some guest speakers in one class, and they went around and started asking everybody's name. And they got to me, and they're like, what's your name so we can take roll? And I'm like, what about Kyle? Can I be Kyle? They're like, yeah, of course. Let's change your name on the roster. Let's do all that. Absolutely. We'll do that. No problem. And I was just so shocked by how accepting and how calm they were about that, and how willing they were to just grasp that and run with it and do anything they could to make me happy and comfortable with that. And it just kind of incited something in me to where I thought to myself, this feels right. This is where I need to be. This is who I'm supposed to be. And for the rest of the day, I was just kind of jokingly going around, going to all my classes, being like, hey, what if I just like write Kyle down on all of my school papers today? Let's see what happens. And I did. And I got so many confused looks. I got teachers being like, who the fuck is this Kyle kid? We don't have a Kyle in this class. And I just had to take that walk of shame up to the front desk to get my test. But I don't think I could have come out any other way, because I never actually went up to people and said, hey, I think I'm trans. It just kind of all fell into place without me explaining. Like, everyone just kind of knew that that made sense. So they started doing that. And I had a number of people come up being like, hey, do you just want me to call you Kyle from now on? I'm like, that'd be cool. And that's how it went. But I was still struggling with the pronouns kind of thing, because I had a girlfriend at the time, because your boy was a little lesbian, not gonna lie. And she came up to me during Spanish class, because we had Spanish together, and she asked me if I wanted to be her boyfriend or her girlfriend, and I didn't have an answer for her. But I was still wearing a button-down and the same camo cargo shorts that I had been wearing as a kid. Not the same pair, but the same style. And everything about me just screamed, like, everything inside of me was screaming that I needed to be who I was. But I didn't know how to let that person out. So me coming out was more of an accident than on purpose, but it was the best accident I've ever made. And I'm really happy with the way things came out the way that they did, and the way that I came out. So to answer the original question of how did you know you were trans, it's not so much as how did you know, but when did you put the pieces together, you know? It's just such an aggressive question to me that I don't like the way it's phrased, because it's just kind of asking someone like, when did you realize that you didn't like bananas anymore? Like, there's never a good answer for that. It just kind of seeps in a little by little until the whole picture's there, and you never really know when that picture comes to play. But anyways, that's where I'm at right now.